This video presentation is on muscle contraction. So there are different types of contractions. There are three main ones. These are isometric, concentric, and eccentric. They all work differently to help create different movements and different positions in different sports. A muscle contraction happens once we respond to a stimulus, such as catching a ball, for example in rugby. The basic explanation of this is when we see the ball through our eyes, this then goes to the brain, and then the brain will then send the impulse around our body through the nervous system, and this will make us react to certain stimuli. There are different stages that the impulse has to go through in different ways of explaining it. One of the main ones is the sliding filament theory. Each muscle fiber is made up of myofibrils. These contain even smaller structures called actin and myosin. These filaments slide in and out of each other, and this is what will create the contraction. So firstly, we have myofibrils, which are basic rod-like units of muscle cells, and then this inside that is a sarcomere, which is a functional unit of the myofibril, and then inside this, which is an even smaller one, is actin and myosin. Actin is a thin protein filament which contains binding sites, and the myosin is a thick protein filament, and it has something known as myosin heads, which attach to the binding sites of the actin. So the first stage is when the impulse is sent from the brain and it arrives at the neuromuscular junction, which is somewhere where a chemical known as acetylcholine is released. This chemical causes calcium to then be released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Once the calcium is released, it then binds to troponin, and then this will change shape, and the tropomyosin is removed from the active site of the actin so that the myosin filaments attach to the actin, forming a cross bridge. The last stage is the breakdown of the ATP. ATP is a chemical that gives us energy. So when these are broken down, it releases the energy, and this gives the myosin energy to. This is what the myosin arms connect to the actin binding sites, and because they have the energy from the ATP, they can then pull the actin along so that the Z lines at the ends of the muscle fiber come closer together to the M line, and this is something that's known as a power stroke. And then once this is repeated, the myosin arms let go of the actin binding sites, connect to another one, and pull it along, creating another power stroke. And this creates the muscle contraction. And once we have used and finished with the muscle contraction, calcium stops being sent, and then ATP will no longer release energy, and the myosin arms will let go of the actin, and then the tropomyosin will cover the actin binding sites again, and this will stop any more contraction from happening.